Today on the show, Taylor shares how he created 12 deals from his database, a tool called RateGuard Pro that he didn't even know were in there. We also talk about how he has increased his hourly rate to $272 an hour from $242 from the last call that we did, and how his plan to add an underwriter to help with his business is coming up, and we go through that whole thing. This is a fantastic conversation. If you're wanting to improve your mortgage business, Taylor's fantastic because he's very open, shares what's going on, what's working, what's not. And this is done in real time. And so as you know, we started this series. The goal was to get him to $400 an hour. And it may not happen, but that doesn't mean he's not going to improve his business, as you can see that he's doing. But it's learning as we go along the way. Very excited. Hey, I'm Scott Beckford. This is the I Love Mortgage Brokering podcast. And each week we bring you podcasts to help you improve your mortgage business. Before we jump into this episode, I want to give a shout out to Ownwell. Ownwell is an amazing tool for Canadian brokers that allows you to nurture your database, sends out emails that get 60 to 70% open rates, as well as they can find deals. Check them at ownwell.ca/Scott and check out this conversation with Taylor. Hey, Taylor, welcome back.
I should say welcome back to you. How's it going?
Yes, I was away on a honeymoon for a month, which is the longest I've ever been away, and it was awesome. But as I said to you, I am not ready to retire. It was a great recharge, but I love building things and what we're doing. So yeah, it was good. So, hey, I'd love to get an update. What's happening with your business right now, your pipeline, and then we'll get into some stuff that you're working on and the next stages for you.
Yeah, we had a bit of hiatus over the summer. I think we missed the recording partially due to me there. So yeah, currently I have 22.5 million funded, 205,000 gross paid out, 162 net, 594 hours worked. So fortunately, I'm not really breaking through where I want to. I'm at a $272 hourly rate, which is still awesome. But like
when you used to fix helicopters, did you make that much per hour?
sometimes, depending on the country.
Because you were overseas and stuff.
Yeah, I was in Afghan. Yeah.
But you couldn't do it working from home
No, absolutely.
in your pajamas like you can now, right?
Yeah. This is a very well-paid job, but like you said, it kind of brings me back. I think the first episode, you kind of laughed at me and you're like, man, you're running like a pretty lean thing here. I don't know how we're going to get it much better. And kind of coming to the same conclusion now after arguing that for 6 months.
Well, here's the thing. Like the great part, what I love about what you're doing is you're just measuring everything. So many people don't measure. Like they don't know what they make. They don't know what they fund. Your measuring is allowing you to make, in my opinion, better decisions. So that ties into kind of the next thing. Summertime can be distracting. It's a wonderful place to relive, minus the fires. But maybe talking about that and what that's sparked in you. I shouldn't use the word sparked because we're talking about fires. It's probably the wrong con. But anyway.
Yeah, we get it. Yeah. Well, yeah, I will say our last show, my hourly rate was $242. This show's $272. So I have increased it $30 an hour over the last couple months that we was connected. Part of that was kind of came to the conclusion after paying Kat, who's part of my team, for 2 months in a row. I was like, man, I am lower than what I would like to generally be paying her on average. And so I called her and I apologized. I was like, hey, I'm paying you a bit less. I'm going to get to work. I'm going to fill the funnel and like turn on the faucet here and just get back to basics. And she's great. She's like, yeah, no worries. It's a variable income job. Like, I get it. But I still feel very responsible for providing a paycheck. So I just went back to what I was successful at previous years. And a huge part of that was database mining and really serving existing clients. Like stop with the shiny object stuff, stop with trying to do business development and just get after what's in my funnel. A huge part of that is RateGuard Pro from Jeff Mudrick. I paid for the subscription. Didn't really do anything for a few months. And then I got onto it, opened it up. I would say within about 20 minutes, like had a quick call with Jeff. He kind of showed me how it worked. I sent out like 12 emails and he has it so well automated that you just adjust rates, click here, present this PDF to the client, sent it out to 12 people that day. Next day, like I had 2 files ready to go. And so I was like, okay, there is a lot of money sitting on the table here. And Ownwell is great as well. I look at Ownwell as more of like a passive, top of mind. You're sending out those monthly reports. Jeff's is like, I'm going hunting, man. And I just went after it. So yeah, we really ramped up business over the last month, funded a bunch. And even with clients that have like 3 properties. So it's not that much work on the fulfillment side when you have one client with 3 properties and you're funding 3 at the same time.
As opposed to 3 different clients, right?
Yeah. So that's where we are most like efficient. And yeah, anyone that hasn't used it or seen a demo, like reach out to me. I'll be happy to show you my RateGuard portfolio or Jeff, but like it was shooting fish in a barrel for sure.
So you realized, hey, wait a second, Kat, we're not closing as many deals as I'd like. So then it's dig into your database using RateGuard Pro, create some deals there. How many deals do you think you've created since you opened up that tool?
With RateGuard, I think we funded 12 and we have 5 more in the funnel.
Wow, that's not insignificant.
Yeah, I've never done a lot of like insured transfers before. So did a couple of those, lots of refis, just repositioning clients to be in a better position, obviously. So yeah, business has not been busy on the purchases, but that's always been, I'm just not super authentic or passionate about like going to drum up business with real estate agents and trying to find those new deals. So yeah, this works really well for my style of business.
How big is your database? You've been in the mortgage business, what, 4 years now or something? So it's not like you've been doing this for 15 years. So how big is that database?
In that software, I think I have about 240 clients that are in
Right.
there. So, I mean, some of them, like if it was a less than stellar experience, sometimes I just like take them out of that database. I'm like, yeah, maybe we
Right.
should work together. So yeah, we have about 240 right now.
You know, I found that there's times that like literally you'll do a file and it feels like you fell down some stairs and you climb back up and threw yourself down them again. You think the client would hit me with their car if they saw me walking on the road, but then a year later they call you up like they completely forgot. It's like all that stress of the file and everything. Like it's amazing to me how often a couple years later they'd be like, "Hey Scott, how's it going?" I'm like, they're like, "Why are you calling my head?" I'm like, "Why are you calling me?" And then they're like, "Oh, yeah, doing good. How are you?" And they're like, "Hey, can you help me again?" I'm like, I got it. I
Yeah.
came back after that. Sometimes it can be completely out of your control, as you know, like, and some
Yeah.
things you can control. But I think always there's a learning in it that, whether or not you contributed to or didn't anticipate what was going to cause the problem, there's still some of the best improvements to my business came from the most painful files.
Yeah. And I think most of the time when we cut somebody in that software tracking program for database mining, whether it's RateGuard or OwnWell or any kind of email list, it's usually if we didn't, like if Kat and I didn't like the experience, or we think they tried to pull a fast one, or it was like, you know what, that was a lot. It's just not a good experience for us. We generally don't try and cut somebody if we feel we underserved them at all.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. But there's a difference. I think I used to cut them all and then realize that, oh crap, these folks want to start work with me. So rate card pros work good. You mentioned something to me in an email. What's morning brew? Is that what Jeff sends you about your opportunities or something else?
Yeah, he'll just send it. So it's obviously automated from his part, and he'll say, hey, here's like top 5 people you should reach out to. You know, you could save money with this person, or there's a renewal coming up with this person. It's just a good reminder. Like I'm someone that hates stuff coming in my inbox, but it is like, I'll just delete it. And then once in a while I'll open it up. I'm like, it's a good reminder. I need to send this client an email or a phone call or whatever. And the software is so good. Like you can just click on that email and be like, click, send email. And it will like, it's all done for you. All the verbiage, everything,
Right.
terminology, math, like it's done. You don't have to do anything. It's crazy how fast you can do it.
Right. And as you said, you picked up 12 files from it since from your database. What are you doing to get new business? What's your new business strategy?
I have picked up a couple real estate agents just by referrals. I was invited to a BNI group locally, so I did go to that. I'm discussing onboarding with them. I'm sponsoring a golf tournament in a couple weeks here in Kelowna. So I'm doing that stuff, but really like my best value add is just like authentic relationships, just
Right.
hanging out with people that I like, doing stuff that we're both passionate about, whether it's golf or hockey or whatever, and getting business that way.
I saw one of our agents, Cheryl Sanguinetti's, she's sponsored a golf tournament, a hole for realtors. And at her hole, remember the tortilla slap challenge? She's doing
Oh yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And so she's sending me these videos and they're hilarious. And the realtors are doing it. And then they want the videos, they want to share it on social. So 2 realtors are playing this little game and it creates a great social content. She asked me, she's like, should I do that? And I said, well, is it your personality? She goes, absolutely. I said, well, then do it, because the people, just like to your point, the authentic, the people who are like you are going to be like, this is hilarious. I'm the same. The person who's like, I would never do that. Maybe they're not your people, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Well, and I think
Yeah.
part of that is like, I try and restrict myself from going out and doing business development. I know it's important, but I try and restrict it unless business is slow otherwise. So I've done the database mining and there's nothing else there, but I do have files that are on my desk that I just haven't gotten around to underwriting. And I've always been on the fence. And I know we've spoken about it as like, do I hire an underwriter? Do I not do it? Like, so anyways, I've committed to it. I'm bringing one on middle of September and I'm super excited. I don't think it's really going to help the hourly rate.
Yeah. It'll probably go down in the short term, but
I think it will for
that's
sure.
okay.
But
Yeah.
I look at it as I am not serving those clients. If I haven't reached out to them and facilitated that refi and they're expecting that, that is not acceptable to them. So if I need to take a bit of a financial hit and get those files moving, that's what it takes.
Right.
That's what I'm doing next. Now I need to figure out the roles and responsibilities between Kat, the underwriter, myself, how that looks.
Right. That's so cool with you. I'd love to talk through that. And then I'll touch on, I'm kind of doing this myself in my own role at company, and we'll come to that after. So there's something that I learned from this guy, Carl White, famous mortgage coach years ago. It's called the Acts of Freedom. And so what you do is you get a spreadsheet and you write down all your activities, everything you do. Don't leave anything out. Responding to emails, looking at whatever the thing is, the list is. And then in one column, you have the list. The next column is how much money does it make you? Like which of these things, and some of these things don't make you a lot of money. And then the third column is how much energy does it give you? What you want to do is eliminate 80% of the things there that don't give you energy and don't make you money, because it's probably not your zone of genius anyway. Like the things that people keep coming back to Taylor for are not how well you can even underwrite the file. It's more about how you communicate the file, communicate the plan, and build the trust with the client is far more nuanced, and where it'd be very difficult to replace you and still get a good outcome. Whereas you could do the conversation, the plan, if somebody else then implements the plan, right? One thing I've heard before, which is so true, is in the mortgage business is one of the few industries where you do the sales and the install. So you imagine you're selling sophisticated computer systems, you sell it and then you install it. Whereas in most businesses, the salesperson sells it and then the installer comes along and installs it. And I know you're there because you're at the point now you're saying, hey, maybe I don't need to do all the installs. Maybe I just do the client conversations, get the commitment, then have somebody. And then, of course, if the plan changes because of the documents, which it can, maybe like, okay, now it's option A and B, not A, B, and C or something. Have you done that exercise? Have you sat down and mapped out for you and for your existing, because you have somebody already works for you? It would be useful to do for this person as well, because this new job, this new person you hire could take stuff probably more off your plate, but also some off theirs. So everybody gets a benefit.
Yeah, we haven't written it down. So that's a good exercise. I think we'll do that. I have had conversations with both team members kind of discussing, and that is my question. What do you dislike? Like, what do you not want to do? Let's start there. And then what are you really passionate about? What do you enjoy about it? And I don't want to then just like fill in the gaps and take what's left over. But I have figured out over the last year or so where my real value add is. And I always used to think before it was on the underwriting, like making a file fit. I don't know, man. Like, I'm just doing this by myself. There's for sure other brokers that are much better underwriters. I just have nothing to compare it to. So, like you said, I found the niche where I'm really good at. I can do a 5-10 minute phone call with someone, figure out what their priorities are, do some awesome planning, help coach them a little bit. And then in the back end, that's where like the team can excel, underwriter, cat. And this underwriter doesn't want to have any interface with clients, which is awesome because that was always my limitation before when I interviewed underwriters. They kind of wanted to be like, hey, I'll take the file from start to finish. You just like bring the leads in. I'm like,
Right.
I just don't feel good about that.
Well, because part of that is where you are particularly skilled, which is in the client conversation and the planning and not necessarily in the implementing. You
Yeah.
can do it as well, but I think of like there's zone of genius and zone of excellence. Zone of excellence or zone of competence. Zone of excellence is you're good at it, but it doesn't give you energy. Zone of competence is you can do it, but takes a lot of energy. And then zone
Yeah.
of genius in my mind is like, the more I do it, the more I love it, the less like it does not feel like work to me. It's mostly just like, man, I love doing this.
And that's my massive piece too. We've spoken about this is like return on energy. I want to finish the day like excited, amped up, want to go pick up the kids and like have fun at night with the family. And there's so much in this business that can just drain you. So that was my big, question with the underwriter was, where's your return on energy? Oh, you actually like doing what drains me? Perfect.
Right. And there's people out there for everything, right? I think that's such a good reminder. So same with me. So obviously, we started the brokerage 5 years ago and did a little bit of everything. My background, the thing I love is coaching. I love creating things for brokers. And I have done so little. I do some coaching, but very little of it and not very much one-on-one coaching because my schedule is meetings and problem solving and ops, and the team is amazing, but I am one person. And so just recently, as you know, we just pronounced this today with the recording, but Dustin Woodhouse, who did this for 5 years at another brokerage and is very skilled at it. And I watched him interact with some of our team and I'm like, this guy is like, he's good, which then now allows me to move more into my zone of genius so I can help our agents and do the coaching piece and the creative piece. I would say managing teams is my zone of competence. It takes a lot of energy. It doesn't drain my energy. It's not something that I do naturally. And the question I asked myself was like, who, not how? And instead of who can show me, like who can just do it for me better? Like sometimes we go, who can show me how to do it? That's a good question. But when you're at a place where it's like, in your case, who can do it better than me and enjoys it more than this other person that you might hire, is somebody who's like, I love this stuff. Just let me crush out mortgage files and I'll problem solve and everything. And you're just like, I predict if you do that, this is the fastest way for you to increase your volume without increasing your effort. And then that dollar amount per hour will go down temporarily and it'll go up because you'll be like, I can do this all day. Because if I'm just doing the parts of the transaction that I enjoy, it'll be easy for you.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll say like, I opened up that email this morning from you and like just coincidental, we record a podcast. But I was like, okay, where's the kicker and the joke of this? Like it's April Fool's. Like, are you just like goofing around it? And I was like, fuck, this is real. Like, what if
I should have put in their PSA, but this is not April Fool's, because I did do one recently with someone, and it was tons of people were like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?" And I was like, "No, it's not
yeah.
true."
But like, love Dustin. So I'm pretty sure any broker that's come into the industry probably read his books, has probably seen him at a
Mhm.
speaking event. Such a great person in the industry in terms of like leadership. I'm blown away. He's with us now, which is just awesome. But again, one of the main lessons I took away from his book was like, do what's right by the client. Always do what's right by the client. The business will just
Mm.
naturally grow. And that's what's part of like adding the underwriter. But I also look at some people, they get hung up on, hey, I don't want to hire someone because it comes at a cost, or like, how's it going to like make my business better or make more money? I kind of look at it as it is education that's a write off to your company. Like if I hire an underwriter and maybe they're with me for 2 years, I am bound to become a better underwriter. Same with Dustin.
Right,
Like maybe Dustin's here for 2 years, maybe he's here for 10 years. He's going to make things better. But there's also like a huge component where like you're just going to add knowledge to everyone
right.
around. And like, sure, there's a cost to it, but like it just is going to make things better. I'm so curious. Like, so have you been thinking about this for a while? Like, how did it happen?
What happened was is that I've had conversations with him over the last little while. I'm like, because I've never done this before on a brokerage, and so I'd run into situations like, "What would you do?" Like, I have no idea. I'm like, "What's the answer here?" I don't know what the answer is, and the answer, by the way, might actually create 4 or 5 other unintended consequences that you don't think about. So then periodically, I pick up the phone and I'd say, "Hey, Dustin, have you run into this before?" "Oh yeah, 5, 6, 10 times before." And I'm like, "Oh," and I'm like, "What would you do?" And I was like, "Oh, that is not my instinct. My instinct was to do X, and you just told me you did Y, and here's all the reasons." And I was like, "Well, that's a pretty good idea." So then I was like, why don't I hire him to do like a 360 of our whole team? We got 27 people now. It's crazy. And look at the whole business, look under the hood, and then come back and put together, I don't know, 40 or 50-page report on the entire business. Not with names in it, but with like things that he picked up. And at the end of it, he's like, dude, I love this bit. You got a great business here. Like, I would love to be a part of it. I'm like, well, I would love you to be a part of it too. And then what happened was, is we ended up figuring out a way for him to come in and do that so that then I can move into my zone of genius. But when you're a new mortgage broker, when you hire that first person, it's scary. You're like, oh man, how am I going to afford them? Like,
Yeah.
we hire underwriters now, and that doesn't scare me at all. Hiring Dustin scares me more because he's the most expensive person I've ever had put on our team. And I would say I'm scared and excited. But I also believe that the right people are an investment. I do believe that at the core of me, I would never have done it. I do believe the right people, and he is the right person, can make the business go way better and, bigger impact by having him than not. Right.
Here's one thing, like I wanted to, as soon as I read that, I was like, my God, there's probably going to be 50 people that just want to join the brokerage just because of that. And maybe this is just me being naive, but like, I truly think some people join Bricks because of you. Some people have,
Yeah. Some people leave because of me.
sure. Right. Like, and
And that's okay. Just like clients or just like referral partners.
yeah, I read the email and like wheels started spinning. I'm like, this is incredible. Like, love Dustin, love his books, like what he stands for. And then I was like, I bet you there's going to be a bunch of agents looking to come over here just specifically like for that. And to me, that's something like I've never focused on. But if we're talking about like hourly rate, probably needs to be. There is a rev share model at Bricks. I do earn rev share. It's not a ton because I haven't really like looked at that side of the business at all.
We have people making 100 grand plus a year with it.
It's crazy. Yeah.
The thing is, it's not for everybody. It's more of I can talk about it a little bit if you like. And then,
Yeah, please. Here's like full transparency. Obviously, I'm working with the underwriter trying to do that stuff. But now I'm looking at this as like, okay, the brokerage is going to continue to grow. Just another piece of that puzzle that's going to make it better. How do I capitalize on like encouraging agents to come over?
the great part about the rev share model is that it allows people to, I always say, to build a brokerage without the brain damage. So you can have this sort of team effect, team network where you can create a really strong internal team, and it doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost them anything because it comes from our cut, right? And the reality is that whenever there's a split on files, somebody's getting paid no matter what. Like when you think about it, if you have a big national brokerage, there's investors are being paid on work that you're doing. You don't know who those investors are. And if you have a problem on a file, you can't call them up and say, hey, I know that you made a whole bunch of money off my work last year, but they're like, I don't know who you are. Like, why are you talking to me? Whereas in our model, because of it, the way it's designed, I believe it creates more collaboration. It can anyway, if it's done right. And so, yes, so we have a model. Again, I'm not that creative. I basically just copied this idea. I looked at EXP and I looked at Real, and I saw they were growing like crazy. I'd have broker owners, this was before I started the brokerage, that would come to me and say, Scott, what's your best idea? And I'm like, go do this. Copy this model. I'm telling you, it's the way to go. And they would all be excited. Like 5 or 6 times I told people, and then they'd come back a few days later and say, I did the math, Scott. I'm going to make less money. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't get it. You're going to build a bigger business. So no one would do it. because they didn't want to upset the status quo because we have capped commissions, meaning you get to 100% commission split. They're looking at all this going, I don't think I can, but I think that it's a better model in the long run. And there's brokers that are here that don't want to participate. You don't need to. It's not something that, but if you're going to join a brokerage and you can partner with somebody that can add value to you, what you're already doing, why wouldn't you look at who that could be? Whether that's you, whether that's someone else, right? That can create a great synergies that way for everybody. And as I said, we got people making 100 grand plus a year just because they help the company grow. When you get another brokerage, help the company grow, and they give you a set of steak knives and say thank you. And it's like, well, yeah, but that doesn't feed my family, right?
Yeah, it just cuts up the steak.
Yeah. The steak that you had to pay for with your own money.
Yeah. But like, I agree. I understand the model because it makes the company less top heavy, right? You have agents that are helping other agents, so they don't have to like weigh down management levels.
Yeah, but I mean, we're still here. But the other thing that happens, if you think most brokerages have recruiters, so those recruiters are paid based on volume that they bring in. They get a percent, but you can't call the recruiter who brought you to the company and say, "Hey, I got a problem. Can you help me?" They're like, "I don't even know who you are. Who are you? I don't even know you anymore because you are now signed up, and I don't care." And under our model, instead, we're like, "Why don't we just make it like more collaborative?" I believe good people know good people, and that is what creates a collaborative environment that we've already have and that we continue to grow. And if somebody's not that way, we're not a good fit. Like if you're like, "I don't want to," like, no, don't come. Like even you and I do this conversation, you share everything. You talk about everything you're doing, good, bad, ugly.
Yeah.
Like this is the kind of people that we are, and because we believe that we'll all get better that way instead of like hiding stuff, right?
Well, so yeah, a couple things there. I spoke to Braden, and so he's on our team for management at Bricks. Love him. And I was kind of like, man, like, how do I grow this rev share thing? And he kind of pulled back the curtains on how it works in terms of like tier levels as well. So tier 1 is like a recruit under you, and then tier 2 is a recruit under your recruit's recruit, et cetera. And I was like, yeah, how do you add value to someone? Because I can help people, coach people, talk to them, but at the end of the day, like, what am I tangibly giving them? So that's kind of a cool avenue we discuss is, hey, under your tier 1s, if you recruit someone, why don't you place that person under them? You know, you're still getting a percentage of their cut, but at least now like that retention is there. So to help like build up their tier model, and so they're earning more revenue, you still get a portion of it.
That's actually pretty clever. Here's the thing I'd say to that is that, so we do pay up to 4 tiers, and it essentially like if you know good people, if they know good people, and then it creates that whole like little ecosystem where people are collaborative and sharing and helping each other. And there's a thought I had, and I lost it. It was my ADD meds are wearing off or something, brother. But it'll come back to me because it was important. But yeah, I do agree with you. I think that this is something that I think makes the brokerage unique in a way that on the collaboration piece. So it's like, what was it? I can't remember. It'll come back to me. Let's keep talking because something came up and then I lost it.
Okay, so yeah, I'm looking to like build other people's rev share models that are under me. So I think right now is like you get a 4% split of their 100K net income, then the tier 2 would be a 3% and so on. So I'm going to build up other people's models there. And then the other part I'm starting to work on is now I'm going to hire someone to specifically work with on like a tech stack. And part of this is the podcast is like, here's what I do in my business. Here's the software that I use. Here's all my templated stuff.
You help them be kind of business in a box, if you will.
Yeah. And be like, hey, if you come on with us, here's how I can add value. You know, it kind of keeps you accountable.
Yeah. Okay. I knew what I was going to say. So I have another agent who makes about 60K a year in rev share. And all she does is she does a call every other week with her people. And then the off week, they do a call with the people that, so then they basically are just cloning all their best, what's working, what's not. And so they just created this like internal mastermind where everybody is helping each other. And it's literally a call every other week. So I think that's another very easy way to create, because the key thing about build a company that I've observed is that you need to scale leadership. It's not just enough to scale payroll. You got to scale leadership, right? And so how do you scale leadership? And this is one of the ways that I think allows us to be able to scale.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, back to like Dustin, the rev share model. Like I'm super excited about the brokerage. Congrats, man. Good job on that. That was awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, man. It's very exciting. Today, my phone has been blowing up with messages like, oh my gosh, like, is this mortgage Christmas? We told our team too. And the team was like, they were so excited. I've never seen them so excited to see me not be the first. Like, I'm happy, but also a little bit like, wait a second. I'm like, part of me is like, you're not like going to miss me. They're like, no, Scott, you go do your thing. You go and invent stuff behind the curtain and come back out and tell us, and we're good. You know, we do have a great team. It was cool to see that they were so excited.
Something I'll disclose like at the end of your email also was like, hey, here's my personal phone number. You have any questions, issues, call me. That's always been my pitch to people that like are interested at Bricks is like, I don't know, for me, a brokerage is a brokerage. Everyone can make money wherever they go. You know, you can't like really rely on the brokerage to like give you leads and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, I've always felt like if I got a flat tire on my truck, I could call you. Like you're very accessible. That's not your job. That's not your thing, but like,
Yeah, I'm not super mechanical, but I could.
but like to sign off on an email being like, hey, this is what we're doing. Awesome. Also, like, here's my phone number. Like, let's talk about it. So it speaks
Right.
volumes to, yeah, what you're trying to build. And
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. And again, like the cool part I love about working with you is, it feels like a love fest, but it's true is that like you came into the industry 4 years ago, you went through our program, absolutely crushed that. And now you're support other people. So the cool part about building a business, you're supporting Kat, you're going to be supporting this underwriter. One of the things that Dustin, he had talked to one of our staff, and we have some staff that are overseas and we do this profit sharing, and she was able to take her family on a vacation. And I was like, that is so cool. Like, how cool is it that the impact that you're having beyond, of course, helping the clients and with their homes and their mortgages, but then the other people, the families that are affected by your choices of building a team and
yeah.
supporting them. Like, I think that's pretty cool as well.
Well, part of that too, like I've had, and maybe it's from part of this podcast, I've had a couple brokerages like reach out to try and bring me over to their brokerage. At Bricks, I find it's like, what are the issues? Like, give us some feedback. What can we change? It's like you guys are
Mm,
asking us like what you would like instead of the other way around. So yeah, things like that for somebody to be able to change their life and their family's life is mostly because the intent of what you're trying to build, not you just shoving something down somebody's throat being like, this is how we're going to run business. So
right. And this is how you have to do it. Yeah, that's a good point. Well, man, hey, I'd love to know maybe the next time we chat, let me know how it goes with deciding on what's going to be on your plate and Kat's plate. And then if you're any further along on this potential hire, if you find the right person, and then we can talk through some strategy tactic around getting that working well. Let's get to that stage first, and then we'll come back to it.
yeah, I love it. Okay.
Thanks, brother. Where can people find you online?
Venture Mortgages on Instagram, LinkedIn, website. Just find my email. Email is best to find me on there and then shoot me something. We'll connect.
Shoot you a note. Okay. Thanks, brother.
Okay. See you, buddy.
Thanks again for listening, and hopefully you're inspired from my conversation with Taylor. We talked about a lot of different topics. We talked about me hiring a president for the company. We talked about how you can be scary to hire to bring someone on, but that often it's the best thing to do. And we talked about one of the key things that we touched on really was mindset. And so if you're really wanting to get your mindset dialed in, we do these mortgage mindset daily calls, and we have brokers that show up, and they're fantastic. And the whole idea is to help you we do it at 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern. And the whole idea is to get your day going with a jolt. And I always say that if you can get your mindset right, you can absolutely transform your business. It doesn't matter what the tools or tactics are. The mindset is more important. Check that out. You can see it on the links, Mortgage Mindset Daily. Go to I Love Mortgage Brokering. Thanks for listening. As I always say, there's no problem in your mortgage business someone else hasn't already solved. Your problem is finding the answer when you need it. This podcast and other content we create is designed to help you with that. Thanks for listening, and I will see you on the next episode.